April 2026 is officially here. And if you think you've seen the scariest gaming has to offer, think again. We're diving into the absolute top 5 horror titles dropping this month that will haunt your dreams and destroy your sanity. From psychological nightmares to blood-soaked shooters, these are the games you need on your radar right now. I'm the last one, and this is the ultimate hit list for April. Resident Evil Requiem. The game kicks off with a chilling dual perspective setup. You start in the eerie silence of a sterile abandoned hospital as Grace Ashcroft, trapped and stalked by an invincible, towering entity known as the Girl. This shifts instantly to the chaotic, action-packed arrival of Leon S. Kennedy, who lands in the middle of a fresh T-virus outbreak. As the latest mainline entry in Capcom's legendary series, this is easily the biggest horror release of the year. It follows series newcomer Grace Ashcroft and the iconic Leon S. Kennedy as they return to the ruins of Raccoon City, blending high-tension survival horror with the franchise's signature action. Resident Evil Requiem is a 2026 survival horror game developed and published by Capcom. It is the 9th main Resident Evil game, following Resident Evil Village 2021. It features a new playable character, FBI analyst Grace Ashcroft, who investigates a series of mysterious deaths involving the survivors of the Raccoon City incident, with the aid of federal agent and returning protagonist Leon S. Kennedy. Gameplay alternates between Grace and Leon. Grace's sections continue the survival horror gameplay of Resident Evil 7, Biohazard 2017, and Resident Evil Village. Leon's sections are action-oriented, similar to games such as Resident Evil 4, 25. Both characters can be played from first-person or third-person perspectives. Leon's sections focus on action, incorporating various firearms, takedowns, and more abundant resources to neutralize zombie enemies. In addition to his hatchet melee weapon, with limited durability for parrying incoming enemy attacks, Leon can also pick up enemy weapons and use them against them. Leon manages his inventory through a briefcase that can stow items if there is enough space for them, instead of a finite amount of slots. Additionally, he can find BSAA containers to obtain new items or upgrade weapons from depositing treasures and killing enemies. Leon also occasionally fights large monsters in more traditional boss battles. During gameplay, the player can alternate between the first-person and third-person viewpoint of the playable characters. These default perspectives vary in character, with the chapters by Grace in the first-person perspective and Leon in the third-person perspective. Capcom states that first-person view is meant to provide a more tense, more real experience, and third-person view is meant to provide people who prefer an action-based style of play. On March 27, 2026, Capcom released an update to Requiem that included photo mode. Similar to the photo mode from Resident Evil Village and accessible from the pause menu, players can view the in-game scene at the moment of pausing and adjust camera positioning, angles, zoom, focus, as well as modify character poses, facial expressions, and other visual elements. Stickers, frames, and other filters can also be applied before players take a screenshot. Directive 8020. Humanity's final hope, the colony ship Cassiopeia, suffers a catastrophic crash landing on the hostile planet Tau Ceti F. The crew immediately realizes they are not alone. The intro establishes a desperate, claustrophobic atmosphere where the enemy is a shape-shifting alien that could be anyone on your crew. Directive 8020 is an interactive drama and survival horror game presented from a third-person perspective. Player control switches between the 5 protagonists, the crew of a colony ship called Cassiopeia. The crew are supposed to survey Tau Ceti F from space in order to gather information for another colony ship that is traveling 6 months behind. Tau Ceti F is a planet that is 12 light-years from Earth, and has become humanity's last hope because Earth is dying. But the Cassiopeia crash lands onto the Tau Ceti F. The surviving crew members are scattered after being brought out of hypersleep early. The game is divided up into 8 episodes that each take around an hour to complete. There are a handful of optional objectives based on the branching of the game that can be based on previous decisions or have new consequences if the player undertakes them. Directive 8020 features quick-time events, like the previous games in the series, but it also includes live combat in order to increase the danger as much as possible. Creative director Will Doyle said the game is not about fighting the aliens, but about evading them with stealth, because the player does not have a gun or anything like that to defend themselves. Players must stay quietly in the shadows, avoiding detection. Supermassive calls it threatening exploration, and it is something they have wanted to get into their games for years, according to executive producer Dan McDonald, who added, "Now, you've got direct control of the character, and when something happens, it can feel much scarier, and it's a chance to do different stuff." Optionally, accessibility options include a safe mode that ensures players always survive the stealth sections, but can still die in other ways. The game also features multiple difficulty levels and options for players who want varying experiences. The inventory system consists of tools that are linked to a multifunctional utility strap on the wrists of the characters. The strap also contains a shoulder-mounted flashlight, with the enemies able to spot the beam when the light is on. Other tools include a scanner that can scan for electronics, or be used to spot an alien that is capable of mimicking the appearances of the crew. A wedge tool that can be used to open a door as a last resort, or to stun an enemy. A text messenger, and a remote control that lets the player hack computers from a distance. Character movement has been reworked to feel smoother on the sticks, according to Doyle. He also added that the game features stronger survival horror action-adventure elements to the gameplay. The game introduces turning points, which is a feature that allows players to rewind to a pivotal moment or decision. Optionally, players can go the traditional dark pictures route and play survival mode, which prevents rewinding, but still enables players to view the decision trees. McDonald said that turning points were added due to the new threat in exploration, which adds more chances for a character to die, and Supermassive felt that could lead to frustration for players who just want to explore. Turning points do not overwrite progress, so players can continue where they were, if they do not like what they did. The curator does not have a large role in the game, being more in the background, despite his connections to the series, with McDonald saying, "The curator's office with all its leather and books and maps didn't mesh as well with Directive 8020 setting." The multiplayer mode Movie Night returns from the previous games in the anthology. It accommodates up to 5 players in couch co-op, or for the first time in the series, the mode can be played online. Players can also mix and match between couch co-op and online. The online version will be added as a free update post-launch on all platforms. Directive 8020, like previous entries in the anthology, was designed to be a standalone story, but all of the games are in a shared universe, so Supermassive included Easter eggs that refer to other games in the anthology. Doyle described Directive 8020 as the thing in deep space. Doyle stated that the game also takes inspiration from other sci-fi horror films including Solaris, 1972, Alien, 1979, Event Horizon, 1997, Pandorum, 2009, Prometheus, 2012, Life, 2017, and Sputnik, 2020. Other influences include H.P. Lovecraft's cosmic horrors. The game's title is inspired by NASA Directive 8020.7G, which was about biological contamination control for outbound and inbound planetary spacecraft. McDonald said Apollo 10 was a dress rehearsal for the eventual moon landing, and added that the crew of the Cassiopeia was given a similar order. He further compared Apollo 10 and the Cassiopeia mission in that the Apollo 10 crew were sent just to fly around the moon and then return, and the Cassiopeia crew has similar orders to not land on Tau Ceti F. McDonald said the team leaned into body horror with Directive 8020 in order to conjure up some truly horrible forms for the hunter. There are different designs of it throughout the game, including when it is half transformed into a human, which McDonald called really nasty. The design of the hunter was changed multiple times, with the team taking advantage of the extra time they had between game releases to iterate and make it as good as it needs. A storm-tossed rescue at sea serves as the cold open. You take control of 2 siblings wearing animal masks who are thrust into a bleak, 3D world that feels like a twisted, grounded version of a nightmare. The intro highlights their vulnerability as children navigating a world built for giant, adult-coded monsters. The original creators of Little Nightmares and Little Nightmares 2 have returned to take you on a more terrifying journey than ever before. In this co-op horror adventure game, you play as a brother and sister who go through hell to rescue their missing friends. Exploring by boat and on land, you must use your wits to survive, work together to escape the hellish island and the dark secret that haunts you. In this unsettling tale, the emphasis is on tension and thick atmosphere as you join the 2 orphans on a desperate search for hope and redemption in the direst of circumstances. The boy, a child wearing a sack mask and noose around his neck, awakens from a dream of himself, his sister, and their 3 friends peering down a well. He traverses the open water in a speedboat before coming across the girl, his sister, who wears a white nightgown and rabbit mask. After being pulled out of the water, she regains consciousness and briefly attacks the boy, who says he does not know where their friends are. They drive to shore and enter an industrial building where their first friend, Hood, flees from their attempts to rescue her. Finding the island infested with monsters and signs of war, the siblings avoid Sniffer, a lanky, animalistic humanoid who captures Hood and leaves in an ice cream truck. The siblings free her and drive away in the truck, fending off against Sniffer before going over a cliff. Throughout their journey, the girl suffers from stomach pains and has visions of a lamb at the bottom of the well, growing and eventually crawling out. The group can also find 5 coffins that reveal shadowy figures when opened. The first 4 show the boy and the 3 friends being killed, and the 5th shows a fleeing rabbit. The group traverses a flooded hotel, where they are attacked by the island's residents, and witness their second friend, Bandage, getting snatched by a monstrous pelican. The siblings follow it to a lighthouse, freeing Bandage, and trapping the pelican in a burning barn. With 1 friend left to find, the 4 of them head to an orphanage, noted by Hood as familiar. The siblings enter to find it full of petrified children and living spider kids, who have captured the siblings' 3rd friend, Bucket. They try to save him, but end up dropped into the lair of the mother, an 8-legged creature that created the spider kids. She eats Bucket and corners the siblings, only for them to kill her with the spider kid spears and rescue Bucket. Outside, the orphanage is being visited by soldiers, and the now reunited group hides away in a cargo truck. The truck crashes inside a military bunker, and the group operates a missile turret to shoot down a giant aquatic horse that blocks their path. The siblings don diving gear and retrieve one of the horse's eyes to offer to a blind whale in exchange for passage through a warship. When the group enters an underground subway, the girl convulses and vomits up the lamb from her visions, which runs away, grows and mutates rapidly, and swallows each of the 3 friends. The siblings pursue it through a war-torn city, where numerous soldiers commit suicide or attempt suicide bombing them on sight. Narrowly avoiding explosions and gunfire, the pair commandeers a tank and drives away as the lamb gives chase. They seemingly defeat it with the tank's cannon before it mutates further and swallows them both. Inside the lamb and following the boy's calls, the girl approaches a dead rabbit and is knocked unconscious. A flashback shows the boy and the 3 friends performing a blood ritual and dragging the girl to the well. A flock of sheep surrounding the wells stand on their hind legs and encircle the group, bleeding as the sky rains blood. The dream of everyone peering down the well is shown again, but without the girl present, as she is seen motionless at the bottom of the well, before floating in the air and jerking back down. In a post-credit scene, if the siblings find all 5 coffins, shadowy figures in rabbit masks, similar to the girls, emerge from the well and surround her body. Regardless of the number of coffins found, the well floods as the girl's body rises to the top. Across a dark and twisted world, traverse an intriguing but terrifying world, where the main path is only one part of the fragmented story. Discover all sorts of mysterious locations on your perilous journey, each with its own story to tell. A dread-filled adventure. Tarsier Studios is bringing their unique visual style to bear on a whole host of new twisted monsters and broken, yet resilient child characters. Fragments of the children's troubled past have been used as inspiration for their character design, and for the monsters that now torment them. Nobody should be forced to go through hell alone. Fully playable in single-player and local and online co-op, Reanimal has a shared, directed camera, designed to maximize claustrophobia and tension. Reanimal is a survival horror game, stealth game, and a cinematic platformer. The story follows a brother and sister as they try to escape a hellish version of their home, while attempting to save their 3 friends. The 2 must work together, explore the islands, escape from monsters, and solve various environmental puzzles in order to progress. Players will eventually unlock a boat, which enables them to explore locations off the critical path in a non-linear manner. The game supports both single-player and 2-player online or local cooperative multiplayer. In single-player, the second companion is controlled by artificial intelligence. Grave Seasons presents a brilliant concept. A supernatural murder mystery farming sim. It seems like every game in the farming sim genre is cozy or wholesome, with any darker plot lines being relegated to bits of side lore. Grave Seasons flips the script and serves you the bloody guts of your comfort character haphazardly strewn about the ground. You can save everyone, but will you? Consider this sentence a spoiler warning for a story moment that happens, but if you've seen any of the trailers, then you've probably seen what happens. Anyways, let's dive into the preview. I played on a prepared Grave Seasons save slot for what was probably the shortest time I had with a game at PAX East. Even with what little playtime I had, the game wowed me with its art direction, mechanics, and strong sense of horror. We start off with a little bit of context, stating that it's been a month since we moved into an abandoned farm in the town of Ashenridge, in an attempt to exchange our shady past for a peaceful life of farming. Though that's proving difficult, as the mayor of the town has been murdered by mysterious forces, and now rumors are spreading of monsters stalking the night. Everyone's a suspect, everyone has secrets, and everyone's in danger. Adventuring beyond the property, I ran into a mine, which was blocked off. Apparently you can do quite a bit in this game beyond farming, such as fishing, mining, foresting, etc. While exploring the area, I was redirected by a developer to check out the nearby priest's house. I entered his home, rummaged around, and stole his booze. One thing I appreciate is that there's a dedicated button for seeing all nearby interactables. I think it's Shift or Tab. I proceeded to the main town area of the game. Grave Seasons is an upcoming cozy horror farming simulation game, developed by Perfect Garbage and published by Blumhouse Games, scheduled for release on August 14, 2026. It combines the relaxing, routine-based gameplay of farming sims like Stardew Valley with a dark, narrative-driven supernatural murder mystery. Players take on the role of an escaped convict, starting a new life in the idyllic, yet unsettling, small town of Ashenridge. As you build up a rundown farm, grisly, supernatural murders begin to occur. The game features familiar farming activities, such as growing crops, fishing, mining, and socializing with residents. However, this is combined with investigation, where players must search for clues and identify the killer to stop future murders. The murderer is not a normal person, but a supernatural entity, and the killer is randomly selected from the townspeople at the start of each new playthrough, ensuring high replayability. Players can build relationships and romance the residents of Ashenridge, including the potential for unknowingly dating the serial killer. Unlike many infinite play farm sims, Grave Seasons is designed to be played for a specific narrative duration of one in-game year, 4 seasons months, with a defined ending. The game emphasizes that choices have consequences. Players can choose to investigate or ignore the murders, but the story will progress differently based on those choices. Grave Seasons will be available on PC, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series XS, and Nintendo Switch. A new psychological horror game is The Occultist. You step onto the shores of Godstone, an abandoned British island, as Alan Rebels, a paranormal investigator searching for his missing father. The intro is a masterclass in slow-burn, psychological dread, focusing on the heavy, silent weight of the island's history, and the disturbing objects you find that tie to occult rituals. We step into the shoes of paranormal investigator Alan Rebels. Alan isn't your typical EMF reader, night vision camera YouTube paranormal investigator. No, Alan dabbles in the true occult. Alan has arrived on the mysterious island of Godstone to find his missing father. Dear old dad stepped out and vanished without a trace. The only place he could go was the island where he grew up. Godstone was inhabited until 1950 by an evil and macabre cult. Now the only beings who walk the island should have passed on long ago. As Alan explores the island, he will travel through a dilapidated hospital, an abandoned orphanage, a circus that is far from fun, and even a lively graveyard in search for answers. He will uncover a past that should have been long buried, and secrets that should have been taken to the grave, if they didn't just get up and leave again. Through and through, The Occultist is a psychological horror game using puzzles for progression and the slightest hint of survival horror. Each location you visit is its own self-contained level, and to progress, you need to solve a series of puzzles. This can be as simple as finding bolt cutters to cut a chain, or it can be a complicated series of puzzles, like finding a valve to turn on gas for an oven, then reversing time on the oven to unburn a piece of paper that had a password on it. Even some simple answers may not be so straightforward. I, for one, wouldn't have thought to use an X-ray sheet to unlock a door, but here we are. The main item in your kit is your occult pendulum that you received from your father. It has the ability to see the unseen. This means you can see blood trails and hidden messages by holding the pendulum up to your eye. I found it was good practice to use it when walking into a new room to check for anything I might immediately need. But this isn't the only trick your pendulum can do. Over the course of the game, you'll unlock the power to reverse time, summon an ethereal crow to grab items for you, and the ability to move hordes of rats like you're playing Asobo Studios' A Plague's Tale. As you uncover knowledge about the area and story, Alan will note things down in his handy-dandy notebook. The notebook is split into 2 sections. The first half is for the story, where Alan will sketch pictures in great detail of the places he's been. The second half of the notebook is for the puzzles, where Alan will write down codes for padlocks, names, and the rules for solving some puzzles. If at any point you're stuck, there are 3 things to do before looking up a guide. Consult the notebook, look through your pendulum, and seek out crows, as they're your best friends and give you hints on where to go. The Occultist is hands down the scariest game I've ever played. Now I know that has limited praise coming from someone who doesn't really seek out horror games, but the atmosphere alone was enough to give me chills. The subtlety of just having a ball fall off a shelf, or a door closing as you move up to it, only to have no one in the room, was just the start of how unsettling the game was. How about dolls that move once your back is turned, or a body being dragged out of sight? What really made me jump were the jump scares. Yes, I know jump scares are the cheapest way to scare someone, but it's still effective. Especially when half of them aren't telegraphed. So many times in the past, I've come across games that have jump scare moments, but they're preceded by tense music rising to a crescendo. Well, yes, there are some moments like this in The Occultist, when I'd be walking down a hall, nothing around, normal background music playing at a normal volume. Next thing I see is a dark, bloody-faced specter appearing out of nowhere a meter in front of me, accompanied by a sharp spike in music, and disappearing just as fast as he arrived. There are even just the ghosts that can't hurt you. There are some ghosts that will hunt you down and hurt you if you don't escape. You can check your health by looking at your hand. If it looks like it's about to fall off from necrosis, you're about to die if you get hit again. Oh, and if you're ever curious just how close the ghosts are while you're running away, you can look back with the dedicated "look behind you while you're running" button. I know I spent the start of this review really hammering home just how scary the game is, and I still stand by that statement. The problem is that that sentiment only really pertains to the first half of the game. The forest, the hospital, and the orphanage were all terrifying, and made me glad I no longer have heart problems. Even the circus was scary in some parts, but after that the scare factor drops off pretty quickly. The irony that the game got less scary when you enter the cemetery isn't lost on me. It was like watching the long jump at the Olympics and having the athlete go to take a jump and instead face-planting into the sand. I look forward to seeing what they can do in the future and hope they can improve upon what they've already shown us. There you have it, your April lineup of nightmares. Whether you're looking to blast through demons or just survive the shadows, this month is absolutely stacked. Which one of these are you picking up? Drop a comment below and let me know which game you want to see me play next on the channel. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss our deep dive reviews. Stay brave, and I'll catch you in the next one. I'm the last one, out.